hour. Russia may pull out of the START treaty and stop nuclear disarmament if the US continues to deploy its missile defense shield in Europe. President Medvedev said Moscow could also deploy its own strike systems like Iskander missiles on its own borders as a response. Let's now cross over to RT's Anisa Nawi, standing by live here in central Moscow. Anisa, with the US and NATO seemingly unwilling to budge, President Medvedev has made his position clear. Give us the details.
Very clear indeed. Some harsh and direct words from President Medvedev this afternoon here in Moscow on what Russia will do if the U.S. continues to move forward on its plans for missile defense in Europe, which has continued to grow after the signing of the new Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty back in April 2010. President Medvedev pointed out that Russia would begin to create and upload its own radar system throughout the country's western and also in the east that would predict any kind of activity in terms of missiles. Although the U.S. says that it's not directed towards Russia, it's directed towards so-called rogue states. That is not enough anymore, and this is what the president said would happen if the steps to create its own radar missile detecting system and launch it really weren't enough.
If other measures are insufficient, Russia will deploy contemporary strike systems in the west and south in order to prevent fire damage from US missile systems deployed in Europe. The deployment of the Iskander missile system in the Kaliningrad region will be one such step. If the situation develops in an unfavorable way, Russia will reserve the right to cease further steps in the area of disarmament and arms control. Moreover, given the inextricable link between strategic, offensive and defensive weapons, reasons could emerge for Russia's withdrawal from the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty. This is envisioned within the content of the treaty.
Now, I just want to point out that this announcement from the Russian president comes after the U.S. announced that it would not be sharing data, non-nuclear data, it should be pointed out, with Russia. Russia has decided to answer with this. Really, it has to be said, the signing of the new START treaty back in April 2010 was hailed as a reset between the two countries. It wasn't a document that legally binds either side, and that is something that Russia is looking for, guarantees that these missiles will not be directed against them, even though the U.S., its NATO and its European allies constantly trying to reassure Russia that it's not, words are just not enough. They need something on paper that says that it's guaranteed that these rockets will never, ever be used against Russia.
Indeed, Anisa, as you say, the U.S. and NATO have refused to give these legal guarantees, as you said, that these missile defense stations will not target Russia. But let's have a look at the map here for a moment. When it comes to Washington's European missile defense shield that is supposed to protect Europe against rogue states, as they call it, such as North Korea and Iran, America has missiles in Iraq, Afghanistan, South Korea, Japan. And of course, regarding Iran, America's closest ally, Israel, has thousands of missiles. Now, if we look at the European missile defense shield map as well, the US has missiles in Poland, it has radars in the Czech Republic, it has missiles and radars in Romania, missiles in Bulgaria, radars in Turkey. If it's supposed to defend against rogue states like North Korea and Iran, then why is the European missile defense shield positioned right on Russia's back door?
Yeah, it's just some kilometers, really, from Russia's most western enclave of Kaliningrad, and that's really where Russia is talking about placing these radar systems and where these missile defense systems, the U.S. missile defense systems, are being placed and is growing more and more right on their western border there. And if you look at a map, it's interesting that you bring it up. It's the best evidence, really, to understand why Russia has reacted this way, why they've been so strong on their stance over the past couple of years and really over the past couple of decades when signing these strategic arms treaties. There's been several of them. Just look at the map. I mean, it's NATO, it's eastern allies. You go down into the Mideast and then come up along the Pacific eastern seaboard of Russia, and they're surrounded. They're surrounded. So any critics who say that Russia's reaction perhaps is an overstatement, that it's overreacting, just really needs to look at that map, and it's quite simple to understand why they look at this as a threat and are demanding that their interests are also taken into consideration, telling them that these rockets, these military bases, all of these systems are against rogue states like Iran is just not enough.
All right, Artie's Anisa Nawi, they're reporting live from central Moscow. Anisa, thank you very much indeed. Let's get some more details.